Hi investigators, Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy with another action-packed episode of what happened in investigations and loss adjusting in Australia this week. Welcome along to the program. Last week I got myself into all sorts of trouble. Oh boy, it's been on this week. I exposed the ANZiif's loss adjusting qualification as having different units and different competencies and being non-compliant with the standards for training in Australia for nationally recognised qualifications, and they were using superseded qualifications from 4 years ago, or claiming to be. And oh boy, did I get into some strife. I got a letter from a loss adjuster during the week saying what I said, and last week's program, I should apologise to the whole industry over what I said. Well, okay, I looked at the demand and I thought, no, fair enough. She pointed out that, I'm 100% right for my side of things, but I'm blind when I'm wrong. So I will apologise. I'm going to do that right now. I won't hold it up. Just before I do apologise for last week, I must put in the disclaimer that I think all magistrates are underpaid and overworked, and the court system in Australia is not appreciated by the government or the general community. It's a very difficult job. But okay, so here I go. My name is Michael Evans. At all times, I'm the CEO of the Australian Security Academy, and I would like to unreservedly apologise for any hurt, imputation, reference or suggestion made last week on this program that Kath Pettingill was a prostitute. The proper term that should have been used was she was a sex worker. I apologise to all the people in the sex worker industry that I upset in relation to that and contacted me about that. So I unreservedly apologise, and that's it. It was my mistake. I take full responsibility for it. Moving right along, let's have a look at our job of the week. Now, there are some great jobs out there for people who hold nationally recognised qualifications. The first one is with the E-Safety Commissioner. They have several positions in Sydney, in the inner west and the eastern suburbs, and they want to pay you, over $1,000 a week plus super to look at the standards of advertising in Australia. Now, you're going to need a certificate for in-government investigation for this. If we go back 2 weeks, people, and you look on my Australian Security Academy private investigator channel, which if you see down in the bottom right-hand corner there has achieved 100,233 views now. It's a very popular little channel for a very niche industry. So if you go to that channel and you watch this video that we made 2 weeks ago, what will you investigate as an investigator? It specifically tells you what you will investigate in that job. And there are things such as decency in standards of advertising out there on primetime TV or free-to-air TV or whatever, and how that has led to complaints, and how that organisation, the E-Safety Commissioner's organisation, they investigate complaints. Now, the one you just saw of Pamela Anderson, the advertisement that she is in this year, it's had 309 complaints so far, and they go out and investigate that. So this is a fantastic job opportunity, really great work. When people complain, they've got to be interviewed about what they're complaining about. So go and have a look at what that's all about in that job. You'll actually see that full commercial with Pamela Anderson in it, see what the complaints were and how it all panned out. So don't be afraid. Google Michael Evans, private investigator on YouTube, and you'll see that. So there is a link to it in our comment section. We're getting pretty tricky now, but I won't go into that today. This is live. So that's our first job, the E-Safety Commissioner. They want to pay you $2,000 a week to go and work for them and do that. Now, there is another absolutely fantastic position being advertised. This is a code compliance and operations manager with the Australian Financial Complaints Authority. Now, this is a private investigation channel, and I've just put up 2 jobs that relate to government investigation. Well, you're going to grow as an investigator, and many of you already hold the Certificate 4 in Government Investigation, and the one you're looking at right now is about general insurance and regulating that. So they haven't put up how much they're paying, but they want someone with experience in general insurance to go and work for them and be in that regulation authority. Now, as a private investigator, you are overwhelmed with experience in general insurance, home and contents, home arson, stolen motor vehicles, public liability claims for homeowners, that sort of thing. So if you've experience in general insurance and you've got a Certificate 4 in Government Investigation, that is a really great position vacant. Now, there are other vacancies this week. ProCare have advertised 3 positions in Sydney, 2 in Sydney, and 1 in Melbourne, 1 for a factual investigator in New South Wales, 1 for a factual investigator in Victoria, and also 1 for a proofreader of their reports before they go in, and that's based in New South Wales. So there's positions advertised there. You can see those positions on my Facebook position vacant page. It's something that you should be subscribing to. If you're not already there, you should be looking for that. Just Google private investigator positions vacant on Facebook, and that page will come up. So there are opportunities that go up there. I do not put them all up there. If there's one little hint that I can give job seekers in the current climate in Australia who are looking for work, it's this: get used to the future. The future is simply this: if you're going to get a job interview in the future, it's going to be over Skype or Zoom or whatever. You will not be going, particularly in Victoria or Sydney, into the CBD to meet your fellow co-workers and be interviewed. You're going to be interviewed online today. That's the reality of the time we're living in. So what you've got to do is start establishing your professional brand as an investigator and get ready to perform on camera and get laser focused on what you have to offer and why a prospective investigation employer needs to choose you. Now, it's as simple as you get in the bedroom and have the person you share a house with get in the kitchen and start practicing on Zoom, talking to each other, practice a few interview questions, distance the camera from yourself a little bit further or put it a little bit up closer. Practice, play with it, and be confident on camera. If you can do that, you could be the world's worst investigator, but you'll still get the job. So, and the best investigator out there that isn't good on that camera in the job interview, they won't get it. If they don't present well, they won't get it. But look at you. You look fabulous. You look great. So you have every opportunity to possibly win that. So start getting ready to do that. Now, they're your practice ones at home. That's in the safety of your home office. If you want to get real and practice it for real, get in touch with me. Send me an email, send me a private message and say, hey, I want to be your private investigator of the week this week, Mike. And I'll discuss that with you. And you can have a real practice being interviewed online for 3 minutes on Friday afternoon. Now, that practice, once you do that, will give you the confidence to do it for real in front of an employer. So that's a great offer. I can't do it for 100 people a week, and there's not that many that will want to do that, but certainly it's there. So start getting used to the future of being on camera. You've seen employers come onto this show. You've seen other investigators come onto this show. It's not hard, and your confidence rises every time you do it. We're getting some real traction with people watching this. I've got to say hi to everybody at the Sanctuary Cove IGA who have tuned in recently, and especially to Mook. Mate, great to see you here, and thanks for watching, buddy. And I look forward to seeing you when you hold that law degree, and Monday we might be in court together. So I can't wait to see that book. I really look forward to it, mate. Speaking of courts, this is incredible. The most conservative, most out of touch court in Australia is the Supreme Court of Victoria. They don't change the curtains, on a whim. They might change them there every 200 years. They do not like change. But this week, they brought out for people who have to appear in court a range, of green screen backgrounds. So if you're going to go to court with the Supreme Court of Victoria, you don't want your green screen in the background or your messy office. What they've done is they've offered you some choices. I've got to show them to you. So here we go. You can be in this courtroom in Victoria. Both Pat Flynn and I have both appeared in this courtroom. So that's what it looks like, and that's in the Supreme Court of Victoria. The clock up on the back wall there is the Supreme Court of Victoria clock. Or you can go into this court. This is the one that's got the little gallery up the top, and people look down and see what's happening inside. So you're sitting right in the judge's desk there. So you can have some real fun with this. You know, you can be there. Yes, Your Honour. Yes, Your Honour. Yes, Your Honour. Take him away, 20 years. You can really go power tripping with your Supreme Court background. So good fun there. Last one, I think, is this one. Yeah, that's another court, Supreme Court of Victoria. That's an actual courtroom, and that's where the magistrate sits, and she looks down at all the witnesses or whatever and makes decisions. So that's something the Supreme Court of Victoria have done. I couldn't believe it. They are so conservative to actually come out and do that. Really weird. Better go back to my office. So something to look forward to there from the Supreme Court. Of interest to all investigators this week in the US, a man over there decided that he was going to fake his own death. Now, what was happening was he had to go to court, and he was already in jail, and he had to go to court, and he was going to be sentenced for other things that he'd done. So he sent them a death certificate. And this is the last part of his death certificate, and they received this death certificate to say, well, he's dead, he can't go to court. Now, what we want to do here is really have a look at this, because it's important. If you're a general insurance investigator, you are going to receive documents from travel claims and stuff like that. And they might be from people that went to Bali 2 years ago, and now they're claiming they've got all these medical expenses over in Bali, and they've got some really rip-roaring receipts and stuff like that, which they bought for $5 each at their hotel, so they could claim back some of the cost of their holiday. So this guy's gone and said, look, I'm dead. And so there's my death certificate. I can't appear in court. So they had a look at it in the court and went through it quite thoroughly. And you're staring at it right now, but this is what they found. The registry was spelt incorrectly. So as soon as they saw that spelling mistake, they went deeper into it, and they found out that this person was not dead at all. He was in jail somewhere else, and he was just trying to fake his own death. Now, as an investigator, I've actually investigated 6 cases where people faked their own death. Now, it is so common, they have a name for it. So let's have a look at how it works when they go out and they fake their own death. So that's a little one that came up from out of the US this week, and it happens in Australia quite regularly. People take a whole lot of money and they disappear. Now, as I said in the video, quite often the police aren't interested in it. It's multi-jurisdictional, and the police have got COVID-19 to deal with. They've got terrorism to deal with. They've got domestic violence to deal with. If a corporation hasn't got the risk management in place, then they are going to have to hire a private investigator to go and find that money. Now, you might think, oh, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm just a beginner. I'm an emerging private investigator. Look, I want you practice your digital interview skills. If you can do that, you're going to be interviewing people online. You're going to be interviewed for the job online. So practice it. Be confident. You just do not know what might happen once you graduate from your private investigator course. Hi, Mike Evans with just a little bit of an update on what's been happening at the Australian Security Academy. I was contacted from Melbourne yesterday by a client of ours who puts quite a few people through our training program in Certificate 3 in Investigative Services. And he said to me, Mike, did you put such and such through your program? And I said, yeah, we did. She went through it about 8 years ago. She was working for you then. He said, yes. She left me and then went and worked for Goldman Sachs. And I said, oh, right, that's pretty good. He said, yeah, we were very pleased to see it because she was a very capable investigator. She left Goldman Sachs after a couple of years. She became the fraud investigation manager for the Commonwealth Bank. I said, well, that's no big deal in the times today when all the banks are hiring fraud investigators as a result of the banking inquiry. He said, no, that was way before that and it wasn't even trendy then. He said, 2 years into that, where she was doing that, she was poached by Amazon. She's now in America and she's working for Amazon as their fraud investigator internationally. So people say to me, look, I struggle to get work as a private investigator. I say back to them, if you study your art, if you are passionate about what you do, you never know where it may lead. And I hear stories like that on a monthly basis. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy. That's a pretty powerful message that you should be receiving, that if you study your craft and apply it, it's unlimited where you can go as a licensed private investigator. Now, my favourite part of the week is our movie of the week. Now, in my research for our movie of the week this week, I learned something that I didn't know. I was conducting my research and it was about the Australian TV series Boney, which was a detective series in 1972. And what I discovered was that an actress that was in that very first part of the series that they did, her name was Honor Blackman. Now, she just died recently in April of this year at the age of 94. Now, Honor Blackman was in the first series of the Avengers. So her and Patrick McNeese did whatever they did for the British government, whoever they were, and she was in the first two series of it. Now, she was actually a martial arts expert. And she introduced the concept into that series where all the ladies were powerful karate experts. She was. So she introduced that concept. She's even authored books on self-defense. So Honor Blackman was a person that was in the very first program of Boney, which was the Australian TV series. So let's just have a quick look at it. And I'll explain why I don't want you watching every episode of Boney. There's a specific relevance to it, in particular the designer and writer of it, Arthur Upfield. So let's have a look at the video. Honor Blackman played Kathy Gale in the original two series of The Avengers. She then went on to star in Goldfinger in the Bond movie series.
Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
Isn't it customary to grant the condemned man his last request?
You've asked for this.
Come and purr over Honor Blackman as Pussy Galore.
The TV series Boney was chosen as our movie of the week because of its vicarious association with Arthur Upfield and the Murchison murders. It's a really good read if you Google it on the internet, so have a look for it. Like our late and great Australian Security Academy instructor Peter Spence always used to say, investigation is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. This investigation into 3 murders in the Murchison murders is an incredible read. Have a look for it. Died at the age of 94 in April of this year. She was in the Bond movie, and she was 40 years at the time she played her role in that movie. She starred in many other movies and TV series over the years. Rest in peace, Honor Blackman. What a great career. Amazing. And she was 39, almost 40 when she played in Goldfinger. And in that movie, she did all her own stunts. Once again, her martial arts experience. So worth a watch of Goldfinger this weekend if it's raining like it will be here in Queensland. It's my favourite part of the week. Industry Association time. An investigation industry association sounds like a whole bunch of old people standing around singing the national anthem. Yeah, it's not really as exciting as that, but I'm sure it could be fitted into the start of every industry association meeting around Australia. I couldn't believe just how well I fitted in with all those other young people. So the AILA has come out this week. They're advertising the Tasmanian Workers' Compensation Masterclass webinar series for 2020. Now, this runs over 4 sessions of 1 hour each, August the 6th to August the 20th, online. So I'm going to enroll in that. It's $80 for members, $100 for non-members. There's only 4 1-hour sessions. All the times are there. It's about psychological injury, and they've got examples of the investigations into it. It's going to be a really good watch, and I can't wait for that. I'm really looking forward to that one throughout August. I will remind everybody about it later on, but it's an industry association that's really doing a lot of good. The AILA, as I've said each week before, the AIPI, they do a great job. The AISP, they do a great job. There's some questions over some of the other ones. You can always check with me before you join an industry association. Now, what happens when an industry association gets it terribly wrong? One of the things that's going to come out of the hotel detention inquiry in Melbourne is how the security organisations were chosen, and what work they did and how they recruited. Now, if you don't understand that, you must be living on another planet. I'm going to show you a video. It goes for a little while, but it shows you how the security companies work in relation to winning government contracts. If you didn't know, the 3 biggest security companies in Australia are owned by China and India. They guard our airports, our defence bases, our ports, and a whole lot of other critical infrastructure. And our government pays them a fortune to do it, which helps them fund their military and that sort of thing. That's amazing, isn't it? Now, 2 years ago, one of them, MSS, came out and said, we want 1 security licence for all of Australia. Now, the one thing that prevents China from owning every security company in Australia is they don't get state licensing. They don't get that. They have no concept of it. It's too expensive to get every security guard license in every state, and they don't like that. So they just want 1 security license for the whole of Australia. So 2 years ago, MSS Security came out and said, ASICLA and us, the biggest industry association in Australia, we want 1 license in Australia. One little video on that channel that I referred you to before sunk it and stopped them going ahead with it. Here's the video. So if you're sitting at home in Victoria wondering why you're stuck inside and what led to it, you can check it back a long way and how they subcontract out down and down and down to the lowest bidder where there's hardly any money left and they pay the security guard $20 an hour. That's where it all comes from. That is frightening. Been a busy day. It's been a busy week in investigations. I'll see you next week. Great to have you here. We'll have more news on investigations next week here at the Australian Security Academy. I'm Mike Evans from the Australian Security Academy, and thanks for watching.